Hello, hello, hello. It is Moscow Mitch Monday. We are your Mitch McConnell Retirement Committee, and we are so glad you're joining us on this live stream. We have got under 90 days to go until November 3rd. We do not have a long time, and we have a lot of work to do, people. I hope you're ready to get your marching orders, get ready to go, get the talking points. Let's get going because we have got a lot of work to do. So today, though, we're going to set you up, I think, incredibly well for that work. We have got our show today is Mitch in the news, of course, big news every week because Mitch McConnell's the most important senator and the least useful senator in Washington, D.C. We've got Doug following Mitch's money and a new, the Bluegrass, I think, not coalition. It's a PAC. So he's going to be following some of some of Mitch's secret money, dark money. And then we're going to be joined by Eddie Campbell, who is the president of the Kentucky Education Association, KEA. We're going to discuss how Mitch fails teachers and education. And then really big updates. We've got new campaigns to help ditch Mitch on November 3rd. So we are doing a big voter registration push to get 5,000 new voters to the polls on November 3rd. And then next week, we're going to be doing Moscow Mitch Monday because next week's Monday. But we're going to have an actual physical human demonstration. We are going to protest Mitch McConnell, masked and mad as hell. We're going to be socially distant. But we're doing, as the kids say, IRL. So you can come and join us tomorrow or next week in Lexington for that digital or our non-digital demonstration. Or we'll be here. You can always find us live, on Facebook Live, but we'll be coming to you from the outside of Mitch's office space in Lexington. So anyway, lots of stuff going on. We are doing a lot of things, and it's all powered, fueled, and funded by you. So if you want to help make us more powerful, get more done, go to our secure website, make a donation, go to that ActBlue website. And again, if you've heard weird, crazy things about ActBlue, they're all lies. It's like PayPal with, political reporting baked into it. So just, use that website. It's secure, it's safe, and you can do it, monthly or weekly if you would like to. That is an option they present to you. So if you'd like to make that donation reoccurring, you can do that. But anyway, so let's get into it. Today, what does your protest sign say today? Very exciting news. We've got new co-host today, so that is very exciting for me personally. But I'm Aaron. I'm coming at you from Childsburg in Lexington. My protest sign says today, "Pass the Heroes Act." Hashtag Mitch better have my money. I didn't make that up. I stole that. I think it's hilarious. But that's going to be on the sign for sure. Nate, who are you? What's your sign say?
Hey, gang, this is Nate Orshan. As usual, from Kit and my house here in lovely South Frankfurt, just a half mile from the state capitol building. And my sign today would say, "Hey, Mitch, can't keep our recession from evicting people? Prepare to be evicted."
That's awesome. And Kimberly, joining us for the first time ever. Who are you? What's your sign say? And you're muted. Kimberly, you're muted. Kimberly, you're muted. Kimberly, you're muted. Kimberly, you're muted.
Hold on. I'm here. Hey. Hi. I'm so excited to be here. I forgot to unmute myself. I'm Kimberly Cecil-Jones, and I'm right here in Louisville, Kentucky, the home of the Kentucky Derby, right here in the Ville. And I'm just so excited to be here. But Aaron, what does IRL mean? What is that?
Well, my 13-year-old daughter told me that means in real life.
Okay, I have to remember that. I try to stay kind of, cool a little bit.
We're all
right?
current. We're hip. We're current. Yeah, totally.
A little bit. Well, I'm a Kentucky activist. I'm a national activist. I do media. I do, public speaking, all those great things. But let's get down to what is really important about this man, Mitch McConnell, okay? And I like that. Mitch better have my money. Like Rihanna, right? Mitch better have my money. But I'm just going to say this, point blank. Mitch is horrible for Kentucky. Get him out.
That's awesome. But thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for joining us. And Kimberly, just so you all know, Kimberly is active in the Indivisible movement, which of course we are now an affiliate of the Indivisible, campaign, Indivisible project. So that's kind of one of the ways we connected. But we're so glad you've joined us. So excited. And Nate, I think like for the last 2 weeks now, co-hosts have been showing us up with actual signs. We might need to up our game and actually write down our signs.
I think so. I think the only solution is next week when we start off, you and I roll up our sleeves, show off our forearms, and then we have brand new tattoos.
You are good. Go alone on that one. Just enjoy that one. I'm excited to see what you come up with. The Ditch Mitch tattoo. All right. So, hey, we're going to do Mitch in the news now. And I think the first story is going to come to us via Nate. I don't think he did the original reporting, but I think he's going to present it to us.
No original reporting was taking place here. So this one comes to us from Daily Cause via Forward Kentucky. So this new report came out recently from the Aspen Institute, talking about estimates of the number of renters that they think are going to be evicted nationwide by the end of this year, right? So some estimates say could be between 17 to 23 million renters, hopefully they're voters. But there's also credible estimates that say that number could be closer to 40 million people. And what's a regular non-pandemic, non-recession year look like for evictions? Well, if you look back 4 years to 2016, there were 2.35 million instances of eviction papers filed. So we've gone from 2.35 million for that year to perhaps up to 40 million this year. So it's just, a staggering number of people being asked to vacate. And who ends up suffering the most, right? Well, no surprises there. From the article, quote, if and when the eviction wave comes, Black and Latino families will be hit especially hard. Already around 1 in 4 Black and Latino renters has been unable to pay rent, compared with just 13% of white renters. So 25% versus 13%. So like so many things, people of color end up bearing the brunt of any kind of bad socioeconomic phenomenon. So there's lots of things that Congress could do to prevent this, right? Here's just 3 ideas from this article. 1, they could renew unemployment benefits. Ooh, that really, a stretch. That many people use to pay their rent. They could pass rental assistance. That would be a really nice thing too. Or they could renew and strengthen the eviction moratorium that was already in place. Or here's a great idea: do all three. So why should Mitch and the Senate care, right? What's in it? What's in it for society, for keeping these people in their homes? Well, according to Emily Benfer, who's a Wake Forest University law professor, and she's also one of the co-authors of this Aspen Institute report, she says, quote, unless the federal government invests in eviction prevention, we are not only risking widespread eviction and homelessness, we are guaranteeing negative health outcomes, greater unemployment, educational decline, and long-term harm for renters, also for property owners and communities. So, so many reasons to help keep people with roofs over their heads. So, Mitch, once more, if you didn't hear it the first time around, if you can't help stave off the mass eviction of renters who've been caught in the crosshairs of our coronavirus recession, come November, you're the one who's going to be evicted.
Awesome. Yeah, we should definitely evict that guy, no matter what happens with the eviction moratorium. So if you were listening to the news this weekend, you heard that, Trump did these executive orders. You might have heard that there was one about the eviction moratorium. If you actually look at what that executive order does, it does nothing. It does not do anything to protect renters from eviction. It, creates potentially a process by which something could maybe happen. None of it would actually block evictions. So I think our best shot really is, what Governor Beshear has done to stop evictions from actually happening. But the courts are telling here in Kentucky, they're saying the court proceedings for evictions, I think, can now start, but they can't actually put you out. So it's horrible. This is where we are, right? With the economy falling apart, we have no leadership. We have no leadership at the federal level, and these conservative courts, are not doing the right thing here in Kentucky as well. So, yeah, that's a big story that we should all be following. Absolutely. So,
I agree. I really, really agree because I read that there were already 80 court cases already, and that the sheriff's departments are saying that they're going to follow the court's decision on evicting. However, no one has actually gone into court yet, so no one can be thrown out until there is a court process. But it just shows the disrespect of our great governor, Andy Beshear. I feel that way personally. I do. But I also understand that, people that have commercial properties or rental properties, there was nothing for them as far as mortgages were concerned. So they're kind of backed up, getting into some problems themselves. There has to be a way. And this is what we elect our officials for. And Mitch McConnell is not doing anything for the people that he promised he would help.
No, absolutely true. Hey, Kimberly, I think the next news story comes from you. So what do you got for us, Kimberly?
I got for us, there was an article in the Kentucky afl-cio, and actually it's like Booker fully endorses, or does he? But we know actually that Yarmouth actually did. Amy, she needs a full-throated endorsement from Charles. She needs Booker to be, a state representative Booker to be on the grind daily, every day, tweeting, Facebooking, whatever it may be, to show his support, because there is still so much contention between the two campaigns and the two supporters that they have. There has been talk about some people are not going to vote. There's talk about writing Charles Booker in, and I think all of these things need to stop. I know that Charles said that in the Courier Journal, in the afl-cio, I'm so used to Louisville. I'm sorry, you guys, Courier Journal, C and Z, same thing. So he says in the article, there's a statement that he believes that Amy McGrath is the senator that Kentucky needs. But I still feel like it's a limp-wristed endorsement. Amy needs more to win this election. She needs more to get Mitch McConnell out of the seat that he's in.
Yeah, I think that's totally right. And I looked at that endorsement when, Charles was shared out on social media, and it was kind of two screenshots, right, of this very long statement. And it doesn't get to actually endorsing Amy until, page 2. And I think it's like halfway down. And it's like, well, where's he going with this? As we're like reading along, it's like, So I get it. He's got a lot of supporters. He's got a lot of momentum behind him as a, political figure. And I think what's really critical, though, and he said it when we interviewed the candidates, like, most important thing is beating Mitch, right? He didn't hesitate when we asked, would you endorse the eventual winner of the primary? He said, of course. Yeah, of course. He didn't take a second. So I don't know what happened between that interview and this, relatively tepid statement. You could read a lot of different ways until finally it does come out and say, yeah, we need to elect her, and then hold her accountable. Like, well, she hasn't even been in there. What are you holding accountable for? I think, I don't know. I feel like, and I really want Charles to come back on the show. I really respect Charles. I like him. I feel like maybe there's been a little drinking of your own Kool-Aid, because this was a very contentious primary. And, there was a lot of stuff said about Amy, and some of it was, justified. A lot of it wasn't, right? She never has said that she's pro-Trump, right? She's never, anyway. And so there was a lot of stuff that's going on, and that stuff just needs to go away. That dust needs to settle. We need to be driving down the highway to elect her, to the Senate and get rid of Mitch, right? Like, that's what we're about. We are the Mitch McConnell Retirement Committee. We want to retire him on November 3rd. There's only one way we do that, and that is by electing Amy McGrath, right? So anything that stands in the way of electing Amy McGrath is a problem. And I think that his endorsement was tepid, and it should be more full-throated. And Kimberly, you're right. Every day he should be on the campaign trail, that he can spare. We should all be coming together. Mike Breuer's shown up for some stuff. That's great. And, we should all be doing everything we can for these, 80 some odd days. But what do you think about that, Nate?
I think I was muted.
Going
No,
around.
I completely. I don't think I can add anything more than what you both said. And it is really do or die. So, it's a tough ask. I get it. I mean, especially when you put your heart and soul into a candidate who's so progressive, so charismatic, and you thought they were the right one, and they couldn't cross the finish line quite. I get the resentment. I empathize with it, but we can't. We have to do everything we can to get Mitch out of office.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I thought was really interesting in that story was kind of the second part, was the Yarmouth endorsement. So I encourage folks to read the Yarmouth endorsement. It is very full-throated for Amy, but it is like, me and Charles are right here endorsing Amy, and me and Charles are going to work together. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I was definitely thinking through, like, okay, so why is Yarmouth, who's a friend of the show, he was on our show, he's a fantastic guest, he's a great congressman, chairman of the budget committee, does amazing stuff for our state. But why is he, showing such deference to Charles Booker? And then I thought about it. Justice Democrats, they have figured out a game plan, right, to get real progressive voices elected to Congress. And that is to primary kind of conservative members of Congress who represent districts that are way more liberal than they have been. So call me crazy, but the way I read that endorsement is like, Yarmouth is making it very clear that, no, you don't need to primary me ever, in 2 years from now, Charles, because I am with you. I am advancing this very progressive agenda, because Charles is a very attractive candidate right now. Everyone's like, he should run against Rand, he should do whatever. But I think a very, very easy step for him to take would be to run for Congress from that district. That's what, the state house is there, and but at any rate, that is totally my weird political conjecture, and we probably shouldn't talk about it, but it was fun for me to think about it for a minute. All right, final Mitch in the News story. Who here, raise your hand, are you riding the polar coaster? Are you excited about, I got to hear the polls? What's the most recent poll? Who's up? Who's down? This has been a crazy week for the polar coaster, which I think we should probably all get off the polar coaster, because there's nothing good comes about it. But if folks remember the sinking feeling they had last week when the Morning Consult poll came out that showed Mitch up by 17 points, that was I think a lot of people were like, oh, that really it's horrible, that feels horrible, and it does feel horrible. But then just a couple days later, the Quinnipiac, a very revered polling entity, came out with their poll that showed Amy down by 5 points. Is that right? Yep. So all right. So is it 17 points? Is it 5 points? Who knows? We don't know. Polls are a snapshot in a moment in time. And the one thing that I think is very interesting and very revealing, so the tighter poll was the Quinnipiac poll. That actually looked at registered voters, whereas the Morning Consult poll looked at likely voters. So if it's likely voters, people who vote all the time, like clockwork, Mitch McConnell will win. If we expand the electorate, if we get the people who are not as likely voters, if we get the occasional voters, because I'll tell you what, Republicans vote like it's their job, right? Like they have got to vote for their candidates. They show up every time without fail. Democrats are more like, hey, am I moved to vote now? Am I, and that's why this whole primary thing makes me very nervous. Because if people aren't fired up and like feeling like it's their cause and, to go vote for Amy, I can see the turnout being affected. Right. And we have got to have big turnout. We have to have enormous turnout. And that's why I think a lot of great, smart, progressive groups are thinking about turnout strategies. We're thinking about a turnout strategy. We're thinking about expanding the electorate. And, there's a lot of things that kind of make the case that we could do that and that we could see new voters this election. But yeah, it's going to take work. So like, stay tuned. There will be opportunities to work later. But what did you guys think about the polls?
Well, just speaking for myself, I mean, we didn't get involved in the Mitch McConnell Retirement Committee because we thought, well, we'll wait to see what the polls say, and then maybe we'll keep doing it, or if the polls are bad. No, it's like the heck with the polls. I'm off the rope, the roller coaster, and I'm pedal to the metal for Amy to the end.
How about you, Kimberly?
All I'm going to say is 2016.
Do not believe the polls. Oh, and then I did my friend Bruce a disservice. I did not mention that I got this article that, the breakdown of the two polls from Forward Kentucky. So that is like one of my go-to sources for progressive information in the state of Kentucky. Go to Forward Kentucky. They do a great job. Bruce, friend of the show, he was on one of our early live streams. But yeah, that's Mitch in the news. That's what we have for you folks. Mitch in the news. And now, our next most important critical thing we are doing is our call to action, right? So let's get active, people. This is a digital demonstration. This is not a sit around and listen to me opine. That's not why you're here. I know that. I might pretend that it's otherwise, but I know you are here to take action. So what we know is that Mitch has failed to be a leader. He has failed to get an agreement done between the House and the Senate in terms of coronavirus relief. We need to pressure him to do better, right? The 4 crazy, dumb, not actually legal executive orders that Trump signed do not do what they need to do. We cannot slash the federal unemployment support like that Trump wants to do. We want to actually get something done through the House and the Senate. The House passed the HEROES Act months ago. The Senate waited till the last minute and couldn't get it together because Mitch is a failure as a Senate leader, and we need to get rid of him. But what we do need to do is pressure him right now. So make a phone call. You can go to his website, because I'll be honest, make the phone call and let us know if you get through and talk to a human, and we will give you a prize. We will find a prize to send you, because good God, that man does not want to hear from his constituents. Right? No one ever answers the phone. Maybe the Bowling Green office, maybe. That's a tip. I've had some luck with some of the other non-big city offices. But yeah, if you can't get through, go to his Facebook page, go to his Twitter page, and tell him you couldn't get through, that you tried to call his office to demand leadership on unemployment and evictions and all the things that we need from this coronavirus relief that he has failed to deliver. I would say you should use some hashtags. I like Save the 600 if you're on Twitter, or Mitch Better Have My Money is a great hashtag. But yeah, get on social media, call him out there, and demand better leadership. So that's our call to action for today. Do something, people. It's not just about watching a live stream. It's about taking action. All right. And next up, speaking of taking action, we got a big, huge take action project that Kit is going to tell us about.
Yep. But, Aaron, you know me, I can't resist making many comments. And one quick comment I want to make. I am hearing from a lot of quarters people saying, well, we don't get through, so why try? Keep trying. If you don't get through, make sure social media or whatever, make sure people know you're not getting through to your senator. If he's supposed to work for you, make sure people know he's not answering the call. That is incredibly important. So I just want to put that plug in. So here I am. And today I decided, because every day I believe in teachers, that I'm going to support teachers. I'm wearing my t-shirt that my dad gave me when I became a teacher, and I brought my little coffee mug, which says, those who can, do. Those who can do more, teach. So this is my shout out to teachers. And also, it's also my chance, because I'm given this little form, to say thank you to the teachers, because teachers were the force, the absolute force that got us a governor who believes in science. Andy Beshear won by 5,000 votes. I have never seen teachers come together like that and just become such a huge force. Those are 5,000 votes that saved people's lives. I am not exaggerating. We could look like some of these deep red states right now that have, coronavirus off the charts, but because we have a governor that believes in science, 5,000 votes, which is a perfect segue to what I'm here to actually talk about. So, one of the things the thing I'm here to talk about at this particular moment is we can defeat Mitch McConnell. We can do it. I don't care about polls. I don't read polls. I moved to Kentucky to defeat Mitch McConnell in part. So how do we do it though? We actually need to get out the votes, right? We need to do what we did to defeat Matt Bevin. We need to get out the votes. In order to turn out the votes, we need to register votes. So here at the Mitch McConnell Retirement Committee, we're committed to registering 5,000 new voters here in Kentucky. You heard that number 5,000? I bet you figured out why. We're doing 5,000 new voters because that's what we did to get Matt Bevin out of office and get a governor who believes in science. So that's a huge number, 5,000. It's a really big number, and we can do it. I totally believe we can do it. And right now, given the times of coronavirus, how are we going to do it? Probably mostly by using the mail, which is a whole other issue, but we're going to go for it because I also stand with postal workers. But we're going to go for it. We're going to do it by mail. I'm sure you all have a grandma who at one point has said, many hands make light work. This campaign will be sending out mailings to unregistered possible voters, and we're going to be doing it in a way that we can then track those voters for follow-up, right? So it's two-part. One, register the votes, and then get the people out to vote. And so in order to do that, we're asking that you join us in this. In order, once you join us, we'll totally set you up for success to get those 5,000 votes. We'll have a training. We'll get you the materials that you need. We just need you to sign up to do it. There should be a sign up in the chat right now. So you can click on that. And if not, reach out to the group or any of us and we can give you some information. So here's the thing. If you're from Kentucky, you're probably hearing and are sick of hearing from people outside of Kentucky that we do politics wrong, right? We do politics wrong because we keep electing people like Mitch McConnell. Well, so let's show the rest of this country who Kentucky is. Who are we? And if you are one of those people outside of Kentucky, one of those people who are out there saying, look at Kentucky, they keep reelecting this guy who doesn't do anything for them. They vote against their best interest. And they're constantly like slagging us down here in Kentucky. If you're one of those people, you can sign up to help too. Put your money where your mouth is and help us, right? You don't have to move down from Vermont, but you do need to help us. So what I'm asking you to right now to do is to get on that link, to sign up, to join our group, to join our efforts, and let's work together. We have this, we can do this. We got one chance, let's make it work. That's all I get to say. Love, Kit.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kit. Yeah, so that's the new project. Let's do it. 5,000 new voters. Let's make it happen. And then after the voter registration deadline cuts off in October, we will then transition to our turnout effort to make sure we turn out 5,000 voters. So lots to do. We need your help. But next, we've got our weekly segment, Doug Price, Following Mitch's Money. He's got a very exciting, very informative, as always. It's always informative. I always learn something new from Doug's segment, but he is digging in on a pack that I hadn't heard of that is very much related to Mitch's political fortunes. All right, let's roll, Doug.
I would certainly be in favor of allowing states to use the bankruptcy route.
I'm happy to be here to present this week's Following Mitch's Money. It's about a PAC that Mitch created in 1989 called the Bluegrass Committee. The first recorded year saw receipts of $41,500. Compare this to the 2020 cycle when $1.2 million was raised. Over the years, this PAC has raised $12.8 million and spent $12.3 million. The top donors include Eli Lilly, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Duke Energy, 21st Century Fox, Boeing, FedEx, Prudential Financial, Google, Home Depot, and many other names that you all would recognize. All combined, these companies have contributed to Mitch through the Bluegrass Committee a total of $390,000 during the 2020 cycle and $465,000 in the 2014 cycle. Keep in mind the 2020 cycle is only half over, so expect these numbers to grow. Additionally, these companies have made all-time donations of $651 million and paid lobbyists almost $3.9 billion. Have I said before there is too much money in politics? Again, Mitch believes otherwise. He is well established. Mitch knows the key to winning elections is money. He decided to use this belief to eventually propel himself to be the Senate Majority Leader. Corporations and high-dollar donors donate to Mitch because he can deliver the goods in legislation benefiting the corporations and or his wealthy patrons. Mitch began distributing contributions to fellow Senate Republicans and potential candidates. The Bluegrass Committee PAC has distributed money to 36 of McConnell's 40 then current GOP colleagues. It's paid off. In 2003, McConnell became the Senate Republican whip. In 2007, his party made him Senate Minority Leader. In 2015, he became the Senate Majority Leader. Our guest tonight is the president of the Kentucky Education Association, so I thought I would see if the National Education Association or its members had made a donation during the 2020 election cycle to Mitch. That would be a hard no, but I did find a very, very large donation to Lindsey Graham, $5. Must be a relative. In January 2019, Tom Loftus wrote the following: Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has a well-stocked political action committee called Bluegrass Committee. The PAC of the most powerful Republican in Congress gets little from people, and it doesn't bother with small donors. Instead, it vacuums the lion's share of its contributions from PACs, special interests, corporations, and associations that lobby lawmakers. With the contributions, McConnell also helps himself by winning the gratitude and support of other Republicans, whether fellow members of the Senate Republican caucus or state legislators and mayors across Kentucky. Sheila Krumholtz, executive director of the Center for Responsive Politics, said he wants to build that farm team back home with people he believes are qualified, but also are indebted to him as they rise through the ranks. I think you can consider Kentucky Secretary of State Michael Adams, Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron, and Kentucky Agriculture Commissioner Ryan Quarles as part of the Kentucky Farm Team. McConnell is a power broker in Washington, and PACs would naturally think twice about not showing up at his fundraiser, Krumholtz said. He's just got to put out the welcome mat, offer the opportunity to the lobbyists and corporate PAC directors to toss their checks into the fishbowl. In 2020, Mitch's Bluegrass Committee PAC donated $10,000 each to Andy Barr, James Comer, Brett Guthrie, and Hal Rogers, plus $5,000 to David Young of Iowa. This is just another example of Mitch laying the groundwork for support in the House related to Senate bills. In the Senate, his PAC donated a total of $170,000 to Senate Republicans, including Cornyn, Graham, Loeffler, McSally, Perdue, and Sass. The Bluegrass Committee PAC donated $316,000 to elect Republicans to the General Assembly last year, with many candidates in closely contested races getting the maximum $4,000 each. This total also includes $50,000 that McConnell's PAC gave to the Super PAC, Kentuckians for Strong Leadership, which targeted spending in a handful of close races. Over the years, the Bluegrass Committee has contributed $1.2 million to Kentucky state races. Representatives, senators, county judges, ag commissioner, do these contributions come at a price? When money exchanges hands, is there a quid pro quo? If a politician doesn't behave correctly, is the money pipe turned off? I think we all know the answer to these questions. We need change. If Mitch heard that word, change, his thought would immediately be about money. We need a different kind of change in November. We need to ditch Mitch on November 3rd.
This partisan impeachment will end today.
All right. Thank you so much, Doug. The Bluegrass Committee. It sounds kind of vague and shadowy, a little sinister, doesn't it? Of course it does, because if Mitch is involved, that's what it is. It's sinister. All right, so now we've got our guest for the live stream. Very excited to bring on today Eddie Campbell, the president of the Kentucky Education Association, known far and wide across the state as KEA. Great advocate for teachers, fighting for teachers' rights, fighting for teachers. Came into a lot of people's awareness when the pension fight was happening, year before last in the State House. A big, huge fight with Matt Bevin over it, and Matt Bevin is no longer around. So just be careful if you want to pick a fight with KEA. It might not end well for you. Eddie, thank you so much for coming on. How are you tonight?
Thank you, Aaron. Glad to be here.
Awesome. And as we ask every person that comes on the live stream, it's a digital demonstration against Mitch. What does your protest sign say today?
My protest sign would say, fund our public schools. They need it.
That is a good one. No one's going to fight with that one, except for maybe Mitch. I don't know. So Mitch has been around, as we've said ad nauseum. He has been around for 35-ish years. He's been back in Washington, D.C., theoretically representing the state of Kentucky. In the 35 years, he's had a lot of chances to either support or, not support public education. What's KEA's take on that? Would you say that Mitch does support teachers? What do you think of his record?
I don't know that we have a very strong record. There's lots of things that come down. The first thing that pops into my mind when we talk about educators in the state of Kentucky and 15 other states across the country is the government pension offset, or what we call GPO, and the windfall elimination provision, or WEP. And those are two things that most people don't understand that impact Social Security for educators. So in the state of Kentucky, if you're a teacher, we pay into our pension system, but if you work a job that's covered by Social Security, then you're offset personally on your Social Security benefits, but you're also offset on your spousal benefits that you receive because of that government pension. So, and those are two big pieces that we have been lobbying on since the 1980s to get repealed at the national level. And year after year after year, we talk about how that impacts educators. And it's not just teachers. In the state of Kentucky, we also have firefighters that are impacted, police. In some states, it's even the classified workers who work for school districts, and there are 15 states that are impacted by that are impacted by GPO and WEP yearly. And the difference between the benefits that one can get from the Social Security benefits can be the line between putting someone and retirement into the poverty level. And 80% of the education profession. 80% of the education profession is women, and they get impacted greatly because many of their spouses don't work in education, so they are impacted and don't get their benefits from their spouse.
So that is a big historic issue that Mitch has basically not embraced your position on. Is that the takeaway?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been up there many years, and I've never seen. We have, like, right now, all of our representatives have signed on to the repeal of House Resolution 141, which is the Social Security Fairness Act of 2019. And then the Senate version is the Senate 521, which is the same bill, just in the Senate. And no, Mitch has not signed on an endorsement of that.
So every member of Congress of the House delegation for Kentucky has?
Yes, all 6 of our congressmen in the House have signed on to support.
And if you've not been paying attention to Kentucky's congressional delegation, I mean, it's got Thomas Massey in it. It's got some really not very good individuals in terms of, progressive policy, right? So it's clearly not the most contentious issue if you've got everyone from Yarmouth to Massey who are supporting you on it. Yet Mitch won't do it.
And it's been a lot of hard work from a lot of educators all across this great Commonwealth that have really reached out and had conversations not only through email, but through phone calls and through letters, telling their personal story about how they're impacted by this.
Yeah. And so when you head up to DC to try to make this case to Mitch, have you gotten any FaceTime with Mitch?
No, I've never met with him personally.
So just so you know, and this is harkening back from a few episodes ago, we learned the magic number. If you actually want FaceTime with Mitch, you have to donate $25,000 to his campaign. So Eddie, you guys take a collection up from the teachers, and then maybe they can meet with him one-on-one and make the case that Thomas Massey found compelling, but Mitch McConnell can't even hear it because he's not willing to actually talk to his constituents face-to-face.
Well, we're teachers, so.
So yeah, you just got to send out the call. The checks will fly in, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Gosh, should I buy some glue sticks for the kids, or should I make a contribution to Mitch's campaign so I can ask him to like make sure that I'm not poor when when I'm retiring? So disappointing. All right, so hey Nate, do you have a question for Eddie?
I do, and of course, I think most teachers could think of many better things to use $25,000 to spend on. You're telling us some top priority things that KEA would like. How about some other maybe lower priority things that a Senator Amy McGrath would be able to do for supporting teachers in education that our senior senator so far hasn't?
So every year it comes up, or every budget cycle it comes up, as what's called the Individuals for Disabilities for Education Act, IDEA, and that's only been funded at about 40%. Since the inception of the bill many years ago. And that helps our most vulnerable students. So fully funding and advocating for fully funding the IDEA would really be a big help for a lot of our school districts here, not only in Kentucky, but all across the nation, because those provide services for our students who have learning disabilities or who need extra help. So that helps to provide that support at the local level in the classroom with the students themselves. Fully funding public education, period, all the title funds, just making sure that we're really fully funding those title funds that come into the district. Title I, provides extra funding for our low income schools who have high poverty rates with students. So just making sure that we're really reaching out and supporting those students, because when our schools have income gaps, that we have opportunity gaps that start forming with our students. We have homework gaps that start forming with our students, and being able to provide those additional services, not only during the school day, but all those whole child services like counseling and after school services and meals for students. So those are our big priorities that the federal government can really help our school districts with.
All right, that's great. Kimberly, do you have a question for Eddie?
I do. Mr. Campbell, my question to you is, right now, how is the KEA helping and aiding teachers and administrators that are possibly afraid to return to the classroom? We do understand that the governor has stated that there's 3 weeks, but maybe after 3 weeks, we have to resume school here in Kentucky. How are we helping these teachers and administrators? Are we going to advocate for more mental health for our teachers and administrators in school as they have to resume class?
So at the national level, we're advocating in terms of funding. We need funding for our schools. Our schools did not plan for a pandemic, and they're going to be directly impacted. So things like PPE, sanitation, making sure that we have masks for students, all of those things are things that we're not budgeted for our local school districts. So funding that comes down from the federal level in the form of the HEROES Act. The HEROES Act provided, if I'm not mistaken, it was about $90 billion that would go directly to our public schools to help support the purchase of PPE and for masks for students, and to provide extra sanitation, and then even to provide other things like filling the homework gap in terms of technology and bridging that digital divide, and making sure that all of our students have access to technology, but also have access to high-stream internet. Making sure that they have nutrition and food access, I know that there was, during the summer, there was an EBT for the pandemic EBT that provided meals for students all summer long. That was awesome. As we move back into the new school year, we need to make sure that we're still providing students with food that have food insecurity. We're making sure we provide those with meals, whether they're learning through a distance learning model or whether they're coming in to the school for in-person. We need to make sure that they have nutritious meals that provided for them all year long, because food insecurity is a big problem in some of our in some areas of the state. For educators, student loan forgiveness, making sure that we're helping out our educators who have are now coming into the profession. In Kentucky, we have our first year teachers don't make $40,000. The average first year teacher salary is about $36,000, but they're still having to pay their student loans back. So making sure we provide some relief for that, especially during this time when there's some economic impact that's coming to our coming in all communities. So that money can be used to pay for things like rent, to make sure that we're providing for our educators, but then to relieve some of that debt burden because they're dedicating their lives to public service. And I know in the HEROES Act, I think there was a $10,000 relief in the debt service for student loan debt. But then the big thing is our state and local governments, making sure that we're providing for our state and local governments right now, because our state and local governments help fund your public education system. The state government, the biggest portion of the budget is public education, and making sure that that funding gap, we're going to lose revenue because of the economic impact of this pandemic. So making sure that that gap is filled from the federal government level in even our local communities, so that we don't miss out on services that we provide students as we move forward in this after the pandemic's over, or when we get to back to whatever normal is going to be.
Right. That's great. So yeah, the HEROES Act seemed to really set our nation up far better than the HEALS Act, I think is what the Senate called it, which, HEALS, not HEELS, although it feels way more appropriate for it to be the HEELS, from heroes to heels. And I know that the KEA doesn't do scorecards for federal legislators because you focus more on the state level. But I did look up the NEA. So you're affiliated with the NEA, the National Education Association. I looked up their scorecard because, of course, you're teachers. You like to give report cards. And Mitch gets an F, just to be clear. So Mitch and Rand Paul both are getting Fs right now from the NEA. And then looking into the House level, we've got 1D. Hal Rogers gets a D, and Fs all across the board, except for John Yarmouth, who friend of the live stream, John Yarmouth, who gets an A. So you got a lot to work with there in Kentucky. Not much of it's good though. Unfortunately, they get a lot of ground to make up, I guess. But yeah, so if Mitch is failing, if he's getting an F from teachers, maybe we should just fail him and just not extend him, not bring him back. Let's just get rid of him, huh? And those are my words, Eddie. I'm not putting that on you. But yeah, any final thoughts you want to share with us about Mitch and his role as the leader of the Senate and what you'd like to see from him?
Well, right now it's just education funding. Right now is just making sure we lift up our educators and support them from the national level. The HEROES Act was passed 12 weeks ago. 12 weeks, and there's not been one conversation that has happened since that time. He addressed saying we wanted to put the pause button on. It wasn't time for the pause button. We need to make sure that we're supporting our students, supporting our educators, and supporting our communities at large all across the state of Kentucky. And the HEROES Act would have really provided much needed funding that would have came into our state to not only fill state budget gaps and local government budget gaps, but also to help fill those gaps in the public education, making sure that our students have all the technology, all the access, all the opportunities, so that they have a high quality public.
Absolutely. And with all these new challenges being thrown at teachers, being thrown at, school systems, it seems like we should be standing up right now and giving them additional resources, not threatening them, right? Not threatening to withhold necessary resources just so they open up physically.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff we've seen from the White House, from Betsy DeVos, like really just abysmal. And, Mitch is, of course, way, way smoother than Trump in terms of like the explicit threats, but the communicates nonetheless. Whose side he's on in this debate, and that's unfortunate because it's not the side of teachers.
Yeah, and the HEALS Act had strings attached to it for in-person learning and not providing for that digital that virtual learning platform. Right now we're in a surge here in Kentucky with cases, and that's very concerning. And making sure that we're protecting everyone who comes into that building, the students, the adults, but then also who go out to their families in the community. That's a high priority for us here in Kentucky. And then there was also stuck in that bill, very interestingly, some voucher stuff that provides vouchers. So, and what we call scholarship tax credits. So it wasn't a good bill, and hopefully, people, if I can say anything at all, is pick up the phone, call Mitch McConnell, call Rand Paul, tell them that they need to hear and pass the HEROES Act, and then send them an email to remind them. Call their local offices here in the state, call them in DC, and because your voice does carry lots of weight, and we just need to make sure that as many people as possible are reaching out and having those conversations.
Fantastic. Well, hey, thanks again, Eddie. Really appreciate you joining us. Appreciate the work you're doing for teachers and for educators in the great state of Kentucky, and the work that you guys do politically. I think it's as Kit said earlier, every day I am thrilled that Andy Beshear is our governor, steering us through this crisis, as opposed to Matt Bevin, let everyone get herd immunity, whatever, like the crazy stuff that would have come out of him. Man, I am glad we dodged that bullet. 5,000 votes, and I know the teachers were good for 5,000 votes that made that difference. I saw you out there knocking on doors, Eddie. I know that you put the time and energy in. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. So now we're going to our special announcement. Very excited to bring Kit here to talk about our special announcement. Kit, what is the special announcement?
Oh, do I get to do a hear ye type thing? Can I? Okay. Hear ye, come one, come all. Okay, I'm joking, but I'm not. I am here to ask for something else. Two things. First, help us out with the voter reg. The second thing, I know you are all tired of staying home and virtually participating in everything. So, because we're kind of tired of it too, I'm here to ask you to join us next Monday, August 17th, for a live, which means in person, socially distant and masked, of course, protest in Lexington called the We're Masked and Mad as Hell protest. It's going to be in Lexington, outside of Mitch McConnell's Lexington office. We're planning to gather between 5 and 5:15 for a good old-fashioned roadside protest. So bring your signs. You heard some good signs tonight. I'm going to do I Stand With Teachers because I haven't done that one yet. And I'm all, excited today. Thanks to Mr. Campbell. Thank you for coming on the show. Bring your shouting voice. So we're going to meet around 5:15 at that roadside outside of his office. And we will have this all up for a Facebook event on our page too, with like the exact details. And then around 6:30, we're going to start migrating across the street just to outside of his office. We are trying to get enough people so that we can socially distance surround his building. But here's the other thing. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have a microphone. My brilliant spouse, Nate Orshan, will be singing his song, Mitch, Please, and it is stellar. So I'm just asking you all to come out, to think about coming out, to share the word. If you see the event on Facebook, share the event. We're going to be reaching out to other groups to join. Look, we need voices, we need signs, we need numbers. So head to our Facebook page, sign up, see details. If you have any questions, hit us up. And I love you all. Love, Kit. That's what I got.
Thank you so much, Kit.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much. Make sure, everybody, to follow us on Facebook. You can reach us there at the MMRC 2020. We are trying to get to 2,000 likes. That's nothing. We can do it. We can get to 2,000 likes. I'm putting a challenge out to everybody. 2,000 likes by Wednesday. We can do it. Tell all your friends, tell everybody you know, we need to retire Mitch, like our page. And I want to just give a great shout out tonight to Ken and Couchfiremedia.com. I mean, our live stream is looking like thebomb.com. Okay, it's looking great and wonderful. And we just really appreciate that. And also, we just want to give a shout out and a thank you to our special guest tonight, which is Mr. Eddie Campbell, the president of the Kentucky Education Association. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You've enlightened us so much on so many issues, and you've answered a lot of questions. Thank you for that. And also, grab into your pocketbook. You know, Grandma used to say that. Your pocketbook, your wallet, your piggy bank, the bank, whatever. We need moolah. We need money to do what we do to retire Mitch. So if you could go and just put a little bit in, put a lot in, whatever you can put in. Let's get it done. Let's get some money riled up and let's get together. We're going to be at the rally and we're going to give money because Mitch needs to go. Also, I got something I have to say. Mitch, please. I'm going to say it with attitude. Mitch, please. Okay? Mitch, the feel-good hit of this whole campaign. It's a catchy, Billy, great song, and it's factual. You will absolutely love it. Unless, you know, you hate the Beatles and you're for Mitch. So much ado to you. Thank you. And hey, go on that Facebook page, MMRC 2020. Get all of your friends to like it, your mama, your daddy, everybody will like it, okay? And we'll see you here next week.